Commander is a gigantic format. There are over 18,000 legal cards to choose from and over 800 legal commanders. Picking a commander is arguably the most important part of building a commander deck, both strategically and emotionally. Today I'm going to begin showing you the top 10 most fun commanders you probably haven't played yet. This will be a two-part series as there's a lot to say. This is going to be a good time. If you want to see the list, click the first link in the description. I do hope you enjoy this top 10 video, and if you do, remember, hit the like button. It helps out a lot. Number 10 is Tygon Mojitai Master. 2 of anything, 1 white and 1 blue for a 3/4 legendary creature human monk. Instant sorcery and dragon spells you control can't be countered by spells or abilities. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, if Tygon attacked this turn, that spell gains rebound. Most spell-slinging decks tend to include both blue and red, but Tygon is a commander unlike any other, an Azorius spell-slinging deck that also casts dragons. Not even kidding. It's like they took Niv Mizzet's spirit and gave it to Dragon Lord Ojitai to teach Tygon. It's so weird, because basically nothing the deck plays gets countered. It runs a ton of spell synergy cards you normally see in Izzet strategies. Baral, Talran, Primal Amulet, and thanks to white, Monastery Mentor head up a big suite of spell-slinging value cards. So why should you play this deck over an Izzet deck? Because white shenanigans you don't get in Izzet. Murmuring Mystic is a great new card for this deck, and alongside Talran will synergize very well with Divine Visitation, creating 4/4s like nobody's business. You also get to run Grand Arbiter Augustin, Dragon Lord Ojitai himself, Supreme Verdict, Teferi's Protection, and more. Tygon Mojitai Master is what happens when you take an Izzet strategy and add more control to it. You don't lose any of the card casting goodness, but gain a lot of power over the battlefield. He's a commander almost no one sees coming, and you get to run a lot of goodness you normally might not. Do you like Dovescape and Ghostly Prison with your spell-slinging decks? What about Steel of the Godhead, Narset Transcendent? Look, Tygon is incredibly fun to play and a breath of fresh air for the spell-slinging planeswalker. Give him a shot, you won't regret it. Number 9 is Firesong Sunspeaker. 4 of anything, 1 red and 1 white for a 4/6 legendary creature Minotaur Cleric. Red instant sorcery spells you control have lifelink. Whenever a white instant or sorcery spell causes you to gain life, Firesong Sunspeaker deals 3 damage to target creature or player. We're sticking to the spell-slinging archetype for one more commander. Firesong Sunspeaker is the best thing to happen to Boros commanders in a long time, giving the color pie new life. Instead of being about combat only, this Minotaur Cleric intentionally de-emphasizes combat-based win conditions. It's the perfect spell-slinging commander for those who love the Boros. The most famous interaction is with something like Lightning Helix. Cast Helix, it gains lifelink, you deal 3 damage to something, you gain 3 life from the spell, deal 3 more damage to something, then gain 3 life from the lifelink, given to Lightning Helix's damage, then deal 3 more damage. If you enjoy triggers like that, you're really going to enjoy this commander. Thanks to the easy life gain, the deck wins by using cards like Aetherflux Reservoir, Price of Progress, Volcanic Offering, and Bright Flame. This strategy is a devastating combination of life and death, destroying everything in its path while gaining so much life that death isn't a concern for you. This strategy gets to run Light of Sanction and Mark of Asylum so that it can run the likes of Magma Quake and Molten Disaster, and all these spells come with lifelink as long as Firesong's on the battlefield. Imagine the amount of life you're going to gain from a single cast of one of these in a multiplayer commander game. This deck isn't super unfun to play against either. It is strong, but it doesn't do anything that anyone would consider supremely unfair. It's just a fun deck with a cool gimmick. More players should be trying it out. Give it a shot. You might enjoy Boros spell slinging. Next up on our list at number 8 is Malthus Fiend Seeker. 1 red, 1 white, and 1 black for a 3/3 vampire with menace. At the beginning of your end step, put a bounty counter on target creature an opponent controls. For as long as that creature has a bounty counter on it, it has. When this creature dies, each opponent draws a card and gains 2 life. Hilarious trigger. Hidden behind Edgar Markov in the Commander 2017 pre-con deck, Malthus is an underrated commander to say the least. He comes with an interesting take on prison strategies, using counters in a way that everyone can enjoy. Malthus wins the game through pure exhaustion, utilizing hilarity like Curse of Opulence, Cruel Reality, Overwhelming Splendor, and even more curses to goad opponents into attacking each other rather than you. Then you further destabilize the board with funny cards like Xantia Sleeper Agent, so funny, Disrupt Decorum, which forces everyone to attack each other, also funny, Orzhov Advocist is a group hug card, making creatures bigger and then stopping them from attacking you, more chaos, and then Humble Defector, card draw for everyone, probably, eventually. What makes Malthus different from other prison commanders commanders is that bounty counter synergy. You're influencing the game as a prison strategy, but sometimes disguised as a group hug deck, allowing other players to benefit from your cheeky plays. It's why there are so many curses in the deck. Cards like Curse of Chaos and Rite of the Raging Storm are great examples of this. Alongside previous examples, Orzhov Advocus and Humble Defector, you start to see the strategy come together. Malthus is a prison commander, but way more fun than your average prison commander. Most prison decks run every version of Ghostly Prison there is and are generally unfun to play against, but Malthus comes with all those cards and he's still fun to play and play against. Curses are hilarious. His bounty counters make other players feel rewarded when they kill something. There aren't many commanders that function this way. If you've ever been interested in playing a prison commander deck but don't want your friends to hate you, Malthus is a great commander for you. Doesn't feel nearly as bad as Queen Marchesa and comes with way more fun. I mean, the guy synergizes directly with Revel in Riches. Come on, that's so cool. Moving right along to number 7, we have Rayhan, Last of the Obzan, and Ravos, Soul Tender. Rayhan is 3 mana for a human warrior who enters the battlefield with 3+1/+1 counters on it. Whenever a creature you control dies or is put into the command zone, if it had 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may put that many +1/+1 counters on target creature. Ravos is 5 mana for a 2/2 human cleric with flying, and other creatures you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Running Obzan counters has been a time-tested favorite of commander players, but rarely do players see beyond the likes of Gaver on Offense of the Foremost. I'm here to tell you that Ravos and Rayhan are the best kept secret in Commander +1/+1 nonsense. Rayhan moves counters around easier than most any other card and synergizes with itself when it goes to the command zone. As far as +1/+1 counter strategies go, Rayhan's fairly powerful in its own right, but the reason this pair is so strong and unique is because of Ravos. The only thing Gave is missing is recursion on himself. Ravos brings recursion on a stick. It can bring back any creature card in your graveyard at the beginning of your upkeep, just any. That means Hangerback Walker can come back a million times over. Same with Colonian Hydra when it's inevitably destroyed and has to move all its counters to something else thanks to Rayhan. It'll bring back whatever you sacrifice with Mycoloth, key creatures like Winding Constrictor and Micaeus the Lunarch. Ravos brings something to the table that the strategy wishes it had access to for years. Immediate, repeatable, and powerful recursion, and the dude anthems your creatures. Why? I don't know, but he does. Then you get to fill the rest of the deck with all the +1/+1 counter nonsense you can muster, from Outlast creatures like Obzan Falconer and Obzan Battle Priest, to bolster Powerhouse Elite Scaleguard, and phenomenally dumb include Corpse Jack Menace. Gave is cool, On Offense is cool, but Ravos and Rayhan, they bring something new to Commander. If you haven't tried them yet, I highly suggest that you do, and in case you're really interested in building these two scamps, I may have already done that for you. Click the link on the screen, you'll definitely enjoy it, and it's cheap, just saying. Number 6, we're going to end the first half of this list just the way we started it, with Tygon. Tygon Sidisi's hand is 3 of anything, 1 blue and 1 black for a 3/4 legendary creature human wizard. Skip your draw step. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You can also pay 1 black, tap it, and exile X cards from your graveyard to give target creature -X until end of turn. An absurdly weird card. Blue-black Tygon is easily one of the most underrated control commanders out there right now, and it's criminal that most players don't know about him. Skipping your draw step obviously isn't ideal, but that upkeep ability is outrageous. Getting to look at the top 3 of your deck before every upkeep draw is powerful. It's card filtering at its finest, bidding whatever you don't choose to keep. And then you can use those cards later to remove creatures, even creatures with indestructible. What makes this Tygon so unique though is that skip your draw step ability. Entire strategies exist around that, and Tygon is one of the best to lead the annoying charge. If you play Tygon, you get to run Psychic Possession, you get to run Uba Mask. Because you aren't drawing at the beginning of your turn, you have the freedom that most other strategies don't. You can abuse that. Necropotence, Notion Thief, Possessed Portal, Zur's Weirding. Look at these cards. They're so annoying to play against, and you get to play them because of Tygon. Skip your draw step isn't a drawback, it's an advantage. Thanks to his filter trigger, you never have to worry about drawing cards. That isn't your jam. That isn't what you do, at least not during your upkeep. So you have an advantage over everyone else. That's why you can run Paradox Haze. Paradox Haze. I can't properly explain how hilarious it is to choke other players on their draws, draw a ton of cards instead of them, draw cards with them, filter your deck like mad, and we haven't even talked about the rest of the deck yet. Tygon is going to throw a lot of your cards into your graveyard, and while you can use them to remove creatures, you can do better. You're a black control deck. Run Shieldred, Noxious Gearhawk, Demon of Dark Schemes because everything will die, the Scarab God because everything will die, and Sepulchre Primordial because everything will die. With all the card filtering, your yard will be chock full of goodness to choose from when you play Phyrexian Delver, Animate Dead, Stitch Together, and Victimize. You'll be able to grab your opponent's creatures by countering them into the graveyard because you're a control deck, deck, or by using one of the myriad board wipe spells. You're in black, you can run Decree of Pain, Toxic Deluge, Crux of Fate, and even Living Death. Imagine a normal blue-black control deck has counter magic, has creature destruction, has recursion, but then add draw manipulation and card advantage and card drawing disruption to your opponents. And then after all of that, realize that Tygon has given you so much advantage, you get to run Mind Leech Mass, which will probably get damage in at least one. Sire of Stagnation, same thing. Lazav, heaven forbid. I think I've made my point. Tygon Sidisi's hand is one of the best and most underrated control commanders out there right now. I think it's honestly ridiculous that more players haven't picked him up yet. If you're interested, I suggest you give him a try. This is the first of a two-part series. In the next episode, we're going to run down the top 5 most fun commanders you haven't played yet. So what do you think about numbers 10 through 6? Any that you haven't heard of before? Any you want to play? Want to see more in-depth deck techs on? Let me know what you think in the comments and we'll talk about it. Let me know what you want. And if you guess what's in the top 5, I'll send you a candy bar. Whichever candy bar you want. Yep, so many candy bars. And as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. Tygon Sidisi's hand is one of the coolest commanders out there right now, and he's friggin' 80 cents. 80 cents. Do I even have to sell you on this card? If you want to pick up one of the best control commanders right now for 80 friggin' cents, click the link on the screen. Helps to channel out a whole bunch, helps me out. And again, tons of candy bars for all of you. Just, enjoy.